I want to move on to really one of the trickiest issues of all, and that is Kosovo. Prime Minister Vučić, I read this morning in one of the Belgrade newspapers that Serbia's president said yesterday when opening the consulate in St. Petersburg that relations with Kosovo, with the Albanian government in Pristina are at its lowest ebb at the moment, its lowest level, because of the Albanians' behaviour. Do you agree with your president on that issue?
First of all, I would like to say that when Edi is fighting for bigger Western support, he has no limits for that. He can do whatever he wants to say against Russia or Moscow or to undermine them. I don't do it. I don't do it with the Western powers. I don't do it with Russia. I don't do it with China. And we are in different position indeed. And that's why the polls shows the different results in Albania and Serbia regarding EU path of two countries. But there are some other reasons as well. EU is seen here also as an organization that makes more pressure, always make more pressure on Serbia over Kosovo crisis. At the same time, as I have already said, they were always very loud to make good remarks from time to time. The other type of remarks on Serbia, but they were mostly silent, speaking about the others' errors or misbehavior. And that's what people see and that's what people feel. And Albania has no problems with their territorial integrity. Serbia has. And these are the problems that are differently approached either by European Union, either by our countries. And that's the essence of the problem. But still, I have to say something. People in Serbia should know that. We got the biggest support from European Union. When we had those terrible floods, we got the biggest support from European Union. We have today thousands and thousands of projects in which European Union supports this country and supports people of Serbia. And people of Serbia should know that. And there is no other organization that can compete with the European Union on that. And people of Serbia should know that as well. Speaking about our relationship with Pristina, I have plenty of arguments to use to say that the other side is guilty. I'm not going to do it. I'm sure that they will have some to blame ourselves for that. My conclusion on that would be we'll carry on the dialogue process in a very passionate way, because that's one of preconditions for the economic development of an entire region, for the betterment, for the better living standard of the Serbian people themselves. It's something that we need to do for the future of Serb-Albanian relationship. These are two biggest nations in the Western Balkans, and it will be the case in the next 100 years. And we have to create that kind of backbone of goodwill in the Western Balkans, and everything else will be much easier to resolve in the future. I know that there are many people in Serbia that don't get it, what I'm saying now. And they will say always, put that white cat on Vučić's head, you know, say that he's an Albanian friend or he does that, I don't care. I'm saying what I think, and I'm sure that I'm saying the truth. And it's not going to be easy. And you know, we speak to Albanian leaders in Kosovo, which is a good fact. We don't stop the dialogue process, although it looks from time to time that there is a dead end at the end of the street. I don't believe in that. I think that we need to find more compromises. If not, we'll all be stuck, not speaking only about our EU path, speaking about our economic development, speaking about better life for an ordinary people in Belgrade, Pristina, Tirana.
Edi,
And I just wanted to say that, yes, we'll invest more of time, more of our energy, but it's going to be harder and tougher day by day, and that's what I was saying at the beginning of this conference, of this forum, because the atmosphere is changed, completely changed, and it is very difficult not only for our side, but also for the other side to deal with that, and it's not going to be better.
Let me take from Aleksandar. He said in the beginning that we are against Russia. We are not against Russia. And even within NATO, we were among the countries that were advocating the need for a combined strategy of dialogue and restraint, not simply restraint. We live in a world where many things are connected, and we don't have the luxury to not talk to each other, agreeing or not, being or not in the same side. Now, I'm going to the question. Kosovo is where we completely disagree. This is clear. Because my view is that sooner Serbia recognizes Kosovo, better will be for everyone. But at the same time, there is a process which I fully support and for which I have always said very bluntly that both sides, both leaders from Belgrade and Pristina should be praised, the dialogue. The dialogue that is a very important tool to anchor the power in the future. Because at the end, it's not simply about what people think Russia or the West, what priests think about, the holy places. It's about where the power should be anchored. In this country we are, and in general in this region, the power used to be anchored in the past. Now, I very much praise the efforts of Aleksandar to move the power anchor in the future. But at the same time, I think that we should never forget that once we are making dialogues, we're talking about people. We're not talking about history. We're not talking about what the president like, what the prime minister like, what the patriarch like. We are talking about the people. And let me bring you an example. I was going through the social media yesterday. All over the place I saw Trepča, Trepča, Trepča. Now, I have a very simple question. Trepča is a mine. It's in Kosovo soul. What do you do with Trepča? You transport it here in Belgrade? And on the other hand, in Kosovo, they should realize that Trepča is a mine in Kosovo soul, and it belongs to Kosovo citizens, being they Albanians or Serbs. And at the end of the day, Trepča is about economy. So the question is, should the economy decide if this mine is feasible, is not feasible, is working, is not working, or should politics decide? So it looks like a trivial question, but the answer is not so easy. Let's take another hot topic.
May I reply to this?
No, let me finish. How we want to move forward without cleaning this kind of lists of people that are wanted or whatever, you know. Because I can understand all the arguments, but when someone is crossing the border here, and is crossing the border for the 10th time, and one among 10th time, he is arrested. What does it mean? What does it tell to people? And the last thing I have to say is, again, in both sides, in Kosovo and in Serbia, I am convinced that the priority when we think about each other should be to make the people happy, to make happy the Serbs in northern Kosovo, to make happy the Albanians in southern Serbia. This should be the goal. Happier these people are, better things will be, and then less room will be opened for idiots and for people that want to take back the anchor of power in the past. This is fundamental. So we should not get lost in translation. Both countries have pledged to go forward, to leave the past back, and so on. And I fully agree with Aleksandar. I'm sure, and that's why I came here first, I come here again, I'll come here as much as would be needed, and I don't care what some people might say. Because when I left Tirana to come to Belgrade last time, I was a traitor. And when I was back, I was a hero. But I am neither a traitor or a hero. I am simply a person that believes that Albanians and Serbs can do together for themselves and for this region what French and Germans did together for themselves and for Europe. After centuries of division by a river of blood. So the examples are there, we are here, and the future is in our grasp. Or we grasp it, or then we kind of confess to the patriarch.
To tell you the truth, when I noticed the presence of Kosovo media, I knew it from the very beginning that Edi will do some daily politics. And he's a much better politician than I am. I was not using this opportunity to say something bad about our Prishtina's counterparts. I'm not going to do so. But I'll take two examples he took to explain the situation between Belgrade and Pristina. He was speaking about Trepča. Dare to say that I know a bit more about Trepča than Edi. I think so, at least. And if he says that it was a question of economy, Pristina did the worst stuff, the worst possible move regarding the economy and development of Trepča. When you say that it's done for the sake or for the benefit of both Albanians and Serbs, can you find one Serb that would agree with that? Did they try to find one Serb that would agree on that? No, they didn't want to speak to the Serbs that live in Kosovo, that work in Trepča. They didn't even talk to them. They skipped all the procedures that actually they established. They didn't care about it. They wanted for their internal political reasons. And I still don't get it. I can't find ratio legis why they did it, to tell you the truth. And I was saying to you, my friend, last night, that, you know, I always analyze everything from a rational point of view. That's something that I cannot understand. That's something that I completely don't understand. Coming back to the case of Neha Tači, You were referring to that case, if I'm not mistaken. Know nothing about the case. Didn't see his file. Otherwise, I would do something illegally here, in this country. And we have just opened chapter 23. And I was, for much smaller cases, warned by European Union not to do so. And I hope that European Union won't have double standards as they used to have from time to time. But at the same time, you were speaking about it, but it was not enough for us, and there was no good reasons for us to halt the negotiations, to stop the talks, to stop the dialogue. Even we faced that terrible case that was launched against Oliver Ivanovic, and he's been arrested, apprehended, imprisoned in different ways for 2.5 years. And you didn't hear that argument from myself as a key argument or as a sufficient argument to stop the dialogue, to argue with someone, or to say, okay, now we don't need to discuss furthermore issues with Kosovo Albanians. It's not a reason. Do you really believe that someone arrested Nehat Taci deliberately because he wanted to do it for political purposes, for political reasons? No, nobody did it. There was a warrant issued in 1997, 1998,
but this is the point. You know, we should clean this kind of lists because we keep going back in kind
it belongs
of
to our
things,
justice system and to our prosecutor's office.
But
but you know, I agree with you. I agree with you in a sense that we need to look at all these files, but we need to do it mutually. We need to do it jointly. We need to do it, and you have to have the same approach when you speak about the Serbs and when you speak about the Albanians. And I do have it. Believe me, I do have it.
When I mentioned Trepča, I was not taking side. I was simply saying that looks like something that you say you don't understand. But
I don't get it.
But I'm telling you, no one from a normal world would understand what is happening. It's a mine in Kosovo that is there. There is no possibility to import it here. The citizens of Kosovo are there, and of course, it's economy, in my view. So, and I'm not saying who did what. I'm simply saying there are several things that come out like from the past, and we find them in the way towards the future, and then we are, you know,
Eddie,
because
it's always popping up. It's always popping up something from the past. The problem is that now we need to tackle that issue, which was totally unnecessary for all of us, and that's why I'm saying to you, and that's what I was saying even to your friends and my colleagues from Pristina, that I didn't get it, and I would never say that, and I would never speak about it if you didn't launch that topic. I just don't get it. We have different attitudes over Kosovo and on Kosovo. You think it's a sovereign, independent state. We don't think that. We disagree on that, as you said. But we need to speak to each other. And this Trepča move was something that came out of the blue, that surprised us all, and I don't know where do we go now, and I don't get it, to tell you the truth, what was the reason.
Well, let's hope that the discussions, I have to intervene here.
I'm ready to discuss it. I'm ready to discuss it.
No,
and you see, I'm getting frustrated, not because it's the main topic here in Serbia. No, it's not. I'm getting frustrated because you can do whatever you want. You can accomplish, you can achieve great results.
I would not have raised it if I would not have seen it everywhere in the Serbian media last night. But again, what I want to say is that it's very important, once we are very clear on one point, we think exactly the opposite about Kosovo in terms of the status. But in the same time that there is a dialogue going on, one should not forget about the people. Because at the end, it's about people feelings
that's
that
why
will decide the quality of the dialogue.
Yes, that's why I was insisting
let
on
me
that. People
say,
were not asked about that. People in the north of Kosovo were not asked about it.
I've interviewed on stage the two tallest prime ministers in the world. So thank you very much.